Welcome to TV Africa News and thank you for always joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Najima Luima, but first are the headlines. President Museveni assures Ugandans of safety after terror attack. Kasita urges its members to be conscious about their security. South Sudan experiences worst flooding in 60 years. And in sports, Lutalo names Crested Cranes traveling squad to Ethiopia. A warm welcome once again. Now the news in detail. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has released yet another statement condemning the Saturday evening bomb attack at Komamboga, a Kampala suburb. In a statement released through his Twitter account, Museveni said that sponging pigs have foolishly invited us to crush them, says Museveni on Komamboga attack. We have more.
One person was killed and 3 others injured after a bomb went off at a pork joint in an accident security described as an act of domestic terrorism. However, in his latest statement, the president described the attackers as parasitic pigs whom he said will have nowhere to hide. According to the president, government has of recently scored by arresting suspects behind the Masaka murder, suspects in General Katumba shooting, and those suspected to have tried to detonate bombs during the burial of General Paulo Kech. Museveni insisted that no one will ever kill Ugandans and go away with it and urged to crush them. The president noted that whereas the victims of the Saturday night attack were breaking COVID-19 operating procedures, including curfew and closure of bars, the perpetrators ought to be condemned. The police spokesperson Fred Enanga on Sunday afternoon said preliminary investigations indicated that the attacks was carried out by 3 men who disguised as customers at the popular joint. He added that one of them was carrying a polythene bag containing unknown items and placed under one of the tables.
Kampala City Traders Association Kasita has asked its members to stay alert in case of any attack following an explosion that happened on Saturday at Komamboga in the outskirts of Kampala. Nalugo reports.
Addressing a news conference at their offices in Kampala, the acting chairperson of Kasita, Thaddeus Musoke, sympathized with the relatives who lost their loved ones in the Saturday bomb explosion that happened at Komamboga, a Kampala suburb, and asked the business community to report any matter that may cause insecurity in the city.
We request the business community to urgently contact the police in case they feel that there is any abandoned package or suspicious object around their working premises.
Musoke also said Kasita is committed to working with security agencies to fight terrorism in the country.
We strongly believe, as Kasita, we have the capacity when we are working with security organs to make sure we create a very conducive working environment.
Kasita also called upon the business community to abide by the curfew restrictions that were put in place by government to curb the spread of COVID-19 and also avoid incidents like what happened at Komamboga.
As we are trying to pursue the government to lift the curfew, like to our neighboring countries like Kenya, where curfew was lifted, so that we can operate smoothly without interference of the curfew restrictions. But currently, we call upon to abide with those restrictions to avoid unnecessary interference from the security and another lockdown.
The explosion, which occurred on Saturday night in a suburb in the northern outskirts of Kampala, killed a 20-year-old waitress and injured 3 people, 2 of whom were in critical condition. On 15th October, the UK government warned that terrorists could carry out an attack in Uganda. Nalugo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Uganda government under the Capital City Roads Rehabilitation Project is to better air quality in the city by introducing scheduled EcoBus transit services and expansion of the non-motorized traffic networks. Kachanchu has more.
This was revealed by Engineer James Akankwasa, Director of Engineering at Kampala Capital City Authority, while addressing journalists at the Media Center in Kampala. According to Engineer James Akankwasa, as part of the Greater Kampala Urban Development Program, Kampala Capital City Authority is going to construct a traffic control center to enable the management of traffic in the city. He added that Kampala Capital City Authority is working with neighboring districts of Wakiso and Mukono to increase the road network and connectivity through a new program funded by World Bank with Government of Uganda, the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Development Program. He said that Kampala Capital City Authority has already started collaborating with other districts by connecting the road and several roads constructed to link Kulambiro Ring Road to Wakiso.
So KCC is definitely cognizant of these challenges, and we are embarking on new strategies to tackle traffic congestion and reduce flooding in the city. And in this new planning, we are not only working alone, but we are also involving our neighbors in the Greater Kampala Metropolitan area. This includes Wakiso and the Mukono and the municipalities and townships therein that form the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Urban Development. KCC already started collaborating with these districts, and actually some of the projects we have already done have taken care of the metropolitan area way of planning. That's why you have seen us constructing Kawusu Bunamwaya Ruheza Road. Actually, that road, which is roughly 8 kilometers, about 7 kilometers is in Wakiso. Because we realized the need that if we are to evacuate traffic on that route, we definitely should not do a 1 kilometer and leave the 7 not done.
It should be remembered that the government of Uganda signed a loan agreement amounting to $175 million to fund the second Kampala Institutional and Infrastructure Development Project that is being implemented by Kampala Capital City Authority.
Also, other studies that have been made under the World Bank funding, KCC has now a Greater Kampala Metropolitan Multimodal Transport Master Plan. This is a master plan that guides us on how to fix the infrastructure in this country, in this city, in order to reduce traffic congestion. So we have that document, and it will be a guiding policy for us as we move forward. We also have a non-motorized transport plan. Part of it, we embarked on it along Ruumu Street. That was a pilot, and we hope to learn from that to move forward with that program. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what has been done, but we have also what we are going to do.
Several roads have been reconstructed and upgraded to tarmac, including Kira Road, upgrading of Mamble Road, reconstruction and dualling of Makerere Hill Road, and reconstruction and dualling of Bakulina Kulabi Kasubi Road.
Let's take a very quick short break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, the right to know. Parts of South Sudan are experiencing their worst floods in 60 years, and the United Nations is linking the situation to climate change. For some areas, it is the third straight year of extreme flooding, endangering livelihoods in the world's youngest nation.
In addition to the flooding, a 5-year civil war, hunger and corruption have all ravaged the nation. Now climate change is impossible to ignore. The UN Refugee Agency has reported heavy flooding that has left a trail of destruction in South Sudan, where the livelihoods of 700,000 people have been negatively impacted. Even though flooding is commonplace in South Sudan, the intensity of its current impact has been described as unusual. Villages have been swept away or submerged as thousands have been rendered homeless. Consequently, many have fled their homes and are seeking shelter on higher ground as they wait for water levels to subside. Faith Kasina, the regional spokesperson for UNHCR in East Africa, described the area as being prone to severe weather situations, which she said she could only attribute to changes in the climate. According to Adesh Tripathi, regional head of disaster and climate crisis for sub-Saharan Africa at the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Cross Crescent Societies, the floods have affected the northern and eastern parts of South Sudan.
Ahead of the December 24th elections, Libya on Thursday hosted senior foreign officials to reiterate the need for support on thorny transitional issues currently facing the country.
Delivering a communique to climax the conference, Libyan Foreign Minister Najla Mangoush stressed the need for steps to enable transparency and inclusiveness during the December polls. The communique included foreign ministers from France, Italy, and Arab states, as well as United States and United Nations officials. The Libyan Foreign Minister Najla Mangoush said that Libya's unity government is strongly committed to the sovereignty, independence, regional security, and national unity of the country. Foreign powers have been advocating the need for the elections to be held as scheduled after the date was agreed at the United Nations-led talks last year. The purpose of Thursday's conference was to gather the necessary support in a transparent way. The presidential and parliamentary votes were set for the same day, but last month, the parliament announced that the legislative elections, the country's first since 2014, would be postponed until January. Participants of the conference were some 30 delegations, some of whom were representatives from the United Nations, European Union, African Union, and the Arab League.
Away from that, UN Security Council delegates led by the ambassadors from the US, France, and Niger arrived in Bamako for 2 days of talks to push the military-led interim government for a return to democracy after 2 coups in 9 months.
The delegation adds to international pressure on coup leaders to abide by the February 27th deadline set by the Economic Community of West African States for presidential election, a deadline that the regime is openly suggesting might be missed. Kenya's ambassador to the United Nations, Martin Kimani, said it would be ideal for them to have a better understanding of the situation in Mali in order to know how best to help. Malian Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Abdoulaye Diop welcomed the delegation, adding that the meeting would help to give a progressive report by the government. In a statement released on Friday, Human Rights Watch had urged the United Nations mission to use this as an opportunity to encourage Malian authorities to investigate a spate of alleged summary executions, enforced disappearance, and detentions by government security forces. It is alleged that since September, at least 14 men last seen in the custody of security forces had disappeared or remain incommunicado detention. The statement added that bodies of 3 men allegedly executed after their arrest by soldiers earlier this month were found nearby an army camp.
Moving on, Senegalese women took to the streets of Dakar on Saturday to march against climate change. Their objective was to promote women's participation in the climate debate and encourage people to consider their specific climate concerns as Senegalese and African women at next month's climate summit in Glasgow.
Co-organizer of the march, Kadi Kamara, shed more light on the motive behind the march, saying that it was to make the voice of African women heard, particularly that of Senegalese women, because today the world is faced with what is called climate change, and the effects are felt everywhere in Senegal. The 26th session of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Conference of the Parties is happening at a time when the world is said to have experienced one of the warmest years on record. The projected changes in climate are likely to cause devastating impacts across the continent. Food insecurity in East Africa is evident. A co-organizer of the march, Nadia Dia, encouraged women to come on board to fight this battle of climate injustice. Nadia said that they are aware of Glasgow summit and they want to hear the claims of women who are committed to fight against climate injustice, adding that animals are dying for lack of water or the soil is poisoned. The year 2020 reached temperatures that were about 1.02 degrees Celsius warmer than average. These kinds of extremes driven by climate change are being felt intensely across Africa.
And let's once again take a very quick short break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, the right to know. In our business news today, making its gas potential a real lever for economic growth, the Summit on Oil, Gas and Energy Transition in Libreville on the theme Reveal, Develop and Exploit the Gas Potential of Gabon aims to reduce the country's dependency on imports of finished products and initiate the switch to clean energy.
Minister of Oil, Gas, Hydrocarbons and Mines of Gabon, Vincent de Paul Massassa, said that Gabon has realized that the energy transition requires a much greater use of gas. Resident representative of the World Bank, Gabon Alice, is of the view that everyone uses gas to cook every day. Gabon holds proven natural gas reserves of 29 billion cubic meters, mainly in the form of associated gas, but currently makes only limited use of it. Almost 90% of its production is reinjected into the subsoil or burned for lack of economic outlets. According to the project manager of the Gas Strategy Task Force, Yan Livlibert Yangari, local content a reality, offering more opportunities to Gabonese companies and workers in the sector. In response to the economic impact of the COVID-19 crisis, Gabon has embarked on the preparation of productive sectors that include hydrocarbons. The objectives are to boost oil production, diversify the sector, and improve governance.
In our health news today, in a township in Johannesburg, South Africa, volunteers are turning litter into bricks, which are later used to build classrooms for local children. Our budget and need for a new classroom is what sparked the innovative idea for Diana Musara.
Musara leads the Kensanis Collection, an education organization that offers after-school classes to young people in the small and under-resourced township of Diepsloot. Diepsloot is littered with piles of rubbish, a lot of which is plastic waste. Needing to expand her offering, Musara's research led her to eco bricks, which are made by using sand or single use of plastics stuffed into 2-liter or 750 milliliter bottles to create a solid brick. The bricks not only offer a cost-effective solution to a construction problem, but also tackle the township's illegal dumping sites and overall pollution. With the help of volunteers living both inside and out of Diepsloot, more than 16,000 eco-bricks have been created to build a new classroom. The eco-bricks can be used to construct anything from a small park bench to a 42 square meter building. For volunteer Sharon Sivanda, joining the effort to make eco-bricks was a far better alternative than sitting at home. The organization plans to build an eco-center on the premises, which will house 5 more classrooms, a library and a recreation center. The project aims to break ground on the second week of November 2021.
In our sports news today, Uganda senior women's national team head coach George Rutaro has named the final list of players that travel to Ethiopia on Sunday evening. The Crested Cranes will face Ethiopia on Tuesday in the return leg of the second round in the 2022 Africa Women Cup of Nations qualifiers. We have more with Kachanchu.
Uganda won the first leg 2-0 at St. Mary's Stadium, Kitende, thanks to goals from Ritisha Nabosa and Fauza Najemba. The squad of 20 is comprised of 3 goalkeepers, namely Captain Ruth Aturo, Daisy Nakaziro and Daphne Nyayenga. Ritisha Nabosa, who sustained an injury at Kitende, is also back in the squad, despite sitting out on several training sessions since the game on Wednesday. The other outfield players included Viola Namudu, Sumaya Komuntali, Foebi Banura, Shadia Nancha, Asiana Chibuka, Joan Nabire, Shamira Naluja, Shibaza Lwango and Rhoda Nanziri. Fauzia Najemba, Margaret Kunihira, Juliet Nalukenge, Hasfana Suna, Sharon Nanduga, Sandra Nabweteme and Lucky Otandeka Kanyesje complete the squad. The winner on the aggregate between Uganda and Ethiopia will face Kenya, who eliminated Southern Sudan 15-1 over 2 legs.
That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned. More programming coming your way.